If you read the video title correctly, you're probably wondering to yourself, why are these two games in particular being compared? And that's a very valid question. After all, one of these games is a platformer, one of these games is an action RPG. These two games shouldn't be compared at all. They're trying to accomplish very different things. One really focuses in on the gameplay, and one has to focus on gameplay and story. So, why am I comparing them? Especially if I agree with not comparing them. That's because Metroid Dread is such a good game that it's become at least, my second favorite game of all time. But I have to determine whether it's my first favorite game of all time. Because the previous game that was second was Xenoblade Chronicles 1. And the thing about that game is that I found Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 to be pretty equal. 2 had its own flaws, while 1 had its own. And I found 1 to have more flaws than 2, and that's why I picked 2 over it. Plus, 2 excelled in really certain areas, which I'll get to a bit later. Metroid Dread, however, had a really good amount of quality, and it definitely beat out any flaws that I had with, like, the original Xenoblade, to the point where I can confidently say it's my second, but I can't confidently say it's my first. Because I had my own grievances with Dread as well. And that's what I want to get into. Usually I make Twitter threads going over my opinions and criticisms of a game, but this time I want to make it a bit different. I want to go over my criticisms and thoughts about one game, and then compare them to another, and then at the end, I come up with a decision. Because I actually haven't come up with a decision as I'm making this video. This video isn't on a script. It's me going on the fly. And that's why I need to be extraordinarily careful with my thoughts. So let's get into it. Let's talk about Metroid Dread first, and then we'll talk about Xenoblade 2 next. Metroid Dread is the 5th mainline 2D Metroid game. It is developed by Mercury Steam, the developers behind Samus Returns, which was a remake of the 2nd mainline 2D Metroid. This is also the first 2D mainline Metroid that's original, not a remake, in over 19 years, because it is a sequel to Fusion, Metroid Fusion, which came out 19 years ago. So this game had a lot of shoes to fill for a lot of people. And from the get-go at E3, I was in love with it. I was so intrigued by it. I even went ahead and started playing Zero Mission on my own. I had to get an emulator for it, of course, because, well, I didn't have a Game Boy Advance or anything. So, and with Zero Mission, I had grievances, but it was due to the emulator I was using. I'm not comfy playing the game the way that with the emulator settings I have. I probably have to change them, of course, it's probably on me. So that's why I'm not really commenting on that much. But with Metroid Dread, I didn't have to worry about it at all. Metroid Dread controls absolutely perfectly. Like, if you want a 10 out of 10 in gameplay, Metroid Dread gives you that. Like, it is by far the most quality game I have played in a long time. Because other games, for example, my now 4th favorite game of all time is 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. But that game has a few issues when it comes to gameplay and whatnot, more specifically in the visual novel sections. Metroid Dread doesn't have anything like that, especially since it's also not a visual novel. But I mean, I guess a better example is Mario. When it comes to many of the Mario games I've played, I feel like a lot of them have like restricting controls at some point. And like the best 2D platformer I can say I played was probably Sonic Mania because, well, that game just controlled like I just like controlling that game. I like going a bit fast. And in this game, like the speed and everything of Samus is just perfect. And you can even speed yourself up. There's a thing you get later in the game. The footage isn't going to show this, but it's the speed boost power up. And while it probably had some of the most frustrating puzzles in the game, it was also some of the best. But the speed booster was really fun to use. Like I really enjoyed it. But I guess since I just talked about puzzles, Metroid Dread is a Metroidvania, meaning you're not really going from level to level. You're more so in a big wide. You're more so in an open map, and you got to decide where to go. And so you can easily get lost. But you also got to look for like goodies and whatnot. And this is where I have a few criticisms. I don't think the puzzles are perfect. I feel like, for the most part, the puzzles that are like laid out with the white, like in this game, they introduce like an area will turn white if it has like a hidden missile or it has like a hidden like item there. But other than that, that doesn't apply to every area. In some areas, they just don't appear at all. And sometimes in order to get to these in order to get to the white areas, the highlights, you have to find a hidden area that's not even in the area it highlights. And it can get pretty frustrating, to be honest. When you're just looking around for areas you missed. Like I didn't have to look up a guide because I simply just shot at everything. But that also made my playtime go up from, I'd say the game took me about 7 hours to beat without dicking around, to about 12 hours. And that's only the playtime they gave me at the end of the game. When I looked at my Switch playtime, and it was up to 25 hours. Because how playtime works in this game is that it counts only when you're active, not when you're, like, not the times you die or anything like that. I'll get to that soon. But I think the main criticism of, like, I think another criticism I have with puzzles is the rewards you get for them. A lot of the puzzles in this game just give you missile tanks. Only, like, 2 of them. And even so, like, there are 3 types of puzzle rewards. You get missile tanks, which there's like enough to have over like 200 missiles, and you start with less than like 50, I think. I think you start with about 25, so that's a lot of missiles. And regular ones just give you like 2. And like there's like 5 or 6 like ones that give you 10. So yeah, that's a lot of missiles. There are 2 types of energy parts, which if you get like a regular energy part, you get like a whole new unit of health, which gives you like 99 more units of health. Or you can get like the equivalent to like a piece of heart from Zelda, which is like a part of a energy tank, and you gotta collect 4 of them to get like a whole energy tank. And to be honest, when it came to like the energy tanks, I felt like getting the regular energy tanks were easier than getting getting the energy tanks that like only take like that you need to collect 4 to get one. I felt like those were actually harder to get, which just feels backwards. In my opinion, I feel like you have to work harder to get the whole energy tank as in one go than getting a part energy tank for a harder puzzle. But then there was one other reward you can get, which is a power bomb upgrade, which is especially not going to be showing up in the footage because you get this literally at the end of the game. No joke, you get this at the end of the game. And so basically, you get the power bombs like right before going to fight the final boss. And they're really only useful in the final boss. Other than that, they're just a screen nuke, and they also help you like do super easy puzzles. And then also other than that, all they do is simply like help you do like super easy puzzles to get like more power bombs, which you only need to collect like 3 or 4 more. And even then you only need like 5, you only need like 4 for the final boss. And really, they're only useful during like the final phase of the final boss. So really, they're not worth it. To be honest, like none of the rewards are really that worth it. You're better off just going for what you can find. And then the reward you get for, and then like you can also, every area has like a completion percentage, and if you get like 100% of items in each area, if you get 100% of every item in each area, you get like a Chozo archive, which shows a picture of like one of the bosses and work being done on those bosses. And I think that's really cool. I just wish there was a bit more. I haven't played like enough yet. I haven't gotten all the endings before making this, so I can't comment on the time bonuses. But from what I can tell, they're like photos of like previous games, and one of them is like the same kind of photo you get for 100% completion with all items, but you have Zero Suit Samus instead of regular Samus, which is cool. It's cool. Yeah. So if I had to give like puzzles and everything like a score, I'd give it like a 6 out of 10. The puzzles are still like really fun to do. I think the speed booster puzzles are really fun, but there's like 2 big critiques that really bog it down for me. And I think it bogs the game as a whole down. Because, like, especially, like, if you're going for 100% completion in one run, what ends up happening is that, like, once you get power bombs, you have to run back to every area and, like, get those power bombs as fast as possible. Or, like, go to each area and get the missing upgrade from each area that you didn't have before. And it just feels kind of useless, to be honest. Let's talk about boss design now. Boss design was almost perfection. Like, I mean almost perfection. There's like 3 types of bosses. Yeah, about 3 types of bosses. There are your main, like, big monster kind of bosses. Like, there's this, like, lizard creature that can turn invisible. And, that's, like, a big kind of boss. But then there's also, like, there's an ME control unit boss, which I think is gonna probably appear in the footage. So, I'm just gonna go ahead and say what it is, because if you're watching this video, you probably have already played the game. But, if you haven't, skip ahead like 10 seconds. I love how the ME control units are literally Mother Brain. It is literally fantastic, because I don't know that much about Metroid, because I've only played like 0 missions so far, but I know who that character is, and it is so weird to fight them again. Or it's so weird to fight them every time you have to take out an enemy. And yeah, that's like one of my, and that's like the second type of boss. The first type of boss is like a Chozo warrior. So one of the main enemies of the game in the final boss is someone named Raven Beak. You meet them in the opening cutscene, and they kick your ass, and they're sort of the excuse for why you don't have your powers at the beginning of the game. From what I heard from other Metroid fans, that's apparently one of the better excuses. And so it kind of has me worried for the rest of the series on what's going to happen in terms of like excuses. Because I've seen the wall thing from one of the Prime games. And I've heard about other M kind of like taking your items, but that's all I've heard about. So I'm really excited to see if there's like any other dumb kind of shit. Because I heard that was one of the better ones. I thought it flowed seamlessly, to be honest though. Yeah, no, but like the bosses are like really fucking fun. I think my least favorite are definitely the chosen ones though, because yeah, I think my least favorite are definitely the chosen ones, because they're just you fight them multiple times, and unlike the ME control units, they don't really. The ME control units don't change, but they at least have that like cool that like they at least have like the cool like reference to them, you know? The Chozo units are just regular bird people. And this is coming from someone who just got into Metroid. Maybe if I play the other games, maybe the other bosses will become cool. But I mean like later on they just become taller and then they also grab like shields. And it's just kind of boring, to be honest. I mean like yeah, it just feels kind of boring. But I like how the animation changes for like the last few of them, and how like I'm gonna get into that a bit later. But yeah, that's also pretty cool. One thing I like about the big bosses, though, or no, one thing I like and dislike are the QTE sections. I think the QTE sections are fucking badass in this game. And I feel like they do flow a bit seamlessly, but a bit too well seamlessly. You see, one of the controls in Samus's arsenal is a melee attack, which also works as a counter. And the QTE sections in this game have you relying on that counter. And so what happens is that, for example, you counter the boss's attack, and you go into this QTE section where you have to where you can then like spam missiles and whatnot, and you're just shooting it into the mouth, and like there's a point where like you're riding on top of one of the big ass monsters, and like you're going around like this like lava drill or whatever it is, and it's fucking badass. Like I fucking love that. I fucking love that. And then but like, I mean like when it came to like the Chozo Warriors though, their QTE sections, um they were hard to get the timing down on. And here's the thing: when it came to like the Emmys and whatnot in their QTE sections, or like their QTE sections to escape from them, that made sense for that to be hard. But with the Chozo Warriors, you have to do the QTE sections to kill them, and it just doesn't. I don't know. It just didn't work for me on those. But it worked for me all the other times. Like I mean, like every other time, it worked flawlessly. So I'd give it about a 9 out of 10. In terms of story, the story's pretty non-existent. But, I mean, it's a Nintendo game. And I know I'm saying that I'm comparing it to Xenoblade 2, which I'm going to go full in on the story of. But, I'm not going to give this one a pass just because it's a Nintendo game fully. I'm going to say, the beginning cutscene does drag on a bit. I kind of wish you could skip it, like fully, so you don't have to go through Samus explaining what a Metroid and a X-Parasite is. But basically what happens is that Samus goes to planet ZDR to investigate this X-Parasite on this planet. When she gets there, she gets ambushed by Ravenbeak, who then takes away all her powers, and her suit, or apparently something's wrong. So she has to get out of the planet and get in her fucking car. She has to get in the fucking car. And basically, you're just exploring the planet then. But as you're exploring the planet, you run into Quiet Robe, who explains a lot of stuff. And then he sort of explains the whole, like, plan and everything, and how the reason why Ravenbeak didn't kill you, and this is, like, I find this a bit dumb, But the reason why the Emmy are after you, specifically, is because they want your Metroid DNA. Because in Fusion, Samus was infused with Metroid DNA to keep her alive. A Metroid vaccine. um, so yeah, that happens, and then Samus continues on through the planet. Quiet Robe is sadly killed by a chosen warrior, but Samus gives her condolences. But then Samus, as she's exploring, she ends up accidentally letting out the X parasites onto the planet, which definitely caused the planet to go into ruin. Like, it was like the planet falls into chaos then. Then you finally get all your items back. You get the zero gravity suit, which you didn't bring in. From what I could tell from the opening cutscene, you didn't bring it in. So why is it on the planet? But then as you're like exploring like the final planet though, Samus starts something weird starts happening with her hand, and we find out that that the Metroid DNA is like fully activating within her, and it leads to the funniest line in gaming history. You are now a Metroid, Samus Aran. Your entire being is a threat to the fucking galaxy or some shit like that. I don't know. That line made me laugh my ass off for like over 10 minutes because I fucking loved that line. And I mean, it's funny too, considering that like Samus was called Metroid back in like the 80s and shit, and now you can technically call her Metroid and it's accurate. I mean, it's been accurate since Fusion, I guess, but I mean, in Fusion it was more so, oh, she has Metroid DNA inside her, but she's not actually like a Metroid. But now she's like an actual Metroid, and it's really funny. It is really, really fucking funny. Um, yeah, it's. I don't know what else I can say. It is. That was just funny. Oh, and then you fight Quiet Robe, and then you become a full-on Metroid, and then you fucking. Oh, and then Kraid's also there, and then Kraid gets absorbed by an X parasite, who then also absorbs fucking who also absorbs Ravenbeak, and then like final phase, is when you get the Hyper Beam, and then you shoot Kraid, who is also now infused with Ravenbeak, and then you kill him, and that's like the final Hyper Beam phase of the final boss. So I don't think Kraid's coming back in Metroid 6, but maybe Ridley will. Speaking of Ridley, I'm surprised he actually wasn't in this game. I know he's dead and whatnot, but I mean, like, if Other M's canon, which I think Nintendo might be avoiding, I'm not sure. I mean, I heard it was a failure, but But if Other M is canon, don't they make like Ridley clones in that game? And like Samus is PTSD or some shit? I don't know. But like, I mean, come on, it's Ridley. It's a fucking Metroid game. I was really shocked that Ridley did not make an appearance. Because, like, there's this moment in the game where, like, the planet freezes. Like, the bottom of the planet starts freezing. And I was like, okay, when we're going to heat up the planet again, I was like, okay, Ridley's gonna appear here and we're gonna fight. But no, Ridley never appeared. It was that, lab creature that was in the lab near, in, like, Daron or some shit. And, to be honest, I should have expected that because the X parasites were out. And I was like, oh, right. I was like, oh, right, that creature. And, yeah. But this game is a lot of good foreshadowing, to be honest. It's a lot of foreshadowing I didn't pick up on. Because, like, okay, one thing this game does incredibly well, and to move on to, like, the sort of next point, is that this game doesn't have, like, nearly any voice acting, but it makes up for that by giving Samus the incredible power, and I mean the incredible power, of body language. And to be honest, I'm not joking around when I say this. The body language is fucking fantastic in this game. One moment she's all cautious, all cautious and shit, and then she realizes, oh, it's Kraid. Then she just lowers her weapon and then starts charging again and then just fucking shoots Kraid. And it's all casual and shit because she knows it's Kraid. And it just feels great. Like, oh man, like the body language in this game is amazing. And then they do use voice acting though. They use it in such a good way. Like, so when Samus meets Quiet Robe, she doesn't she actually talks to Quiet Robe, and she talks to him in Chozo. Because Quiet Robe and Ravenbeak speak in Chozo. But she doesn't speak in Chozo back to Ravenbeak. And a lot of people are saying this is like Samus showing a sign of respect to Quiet Robe because, well, Quiet Robe, because she respects Quiet Robe and whatnot. And I actually think the same. Like, she thinks very low of Ravenbeak, but she likes Quiet Robe, and I really, really like that. It shows a lot of character without saying a single word to the audience and throwing it in your face. And, it's great. It's absolutely great. And I love it. So then we get to, so that's my quick point on voice acting. If I had to give the boss battles anything, I think I already gave the boss battle something, but I think it was like 9 out of 10. I'd say about 9 out of 10. Cutscenes and story, I'd say I'd give about probably like either a 7 or an 8, because to be honest, I wish there was a bit more story, but I also get it's a Nintendo game. I said I wouldn't excuse it, but I mean, it's fucking Metroid. I think the story is appropriate when it needs to be. I think it can be a little bit silly with the "you are now a Metroid," but to be honest, I kind of love that scene, so that scene probably bumps it up to a 10 out of 10 in story alone. Alright, I'm just joking on that last point. Let's just say that I'd say 8 out of 10 is appropriate. In terms of body language and also voice acting, well, there's a lack of voice acting, and I wish we could hear some Samus grunts. I wish we could hear Samus grunt a little. I'm not upset by it completely. I'd say it's about a 9 out of 10. I need to hear more of it, but the body language is exceptional, and that's pretty much it. Now, I'm forgetting one thing, and this is because this point really can't, this point is something that's kind of unique to, Metroid Dread. And it's the Emmy zones. The Emmy zones in this game are like an evolution of the SAX system from Fusion, and I only know about them because of videos and whatnot. I've done my research. I've done a little bit of research before doing this video because I wanted to make sure I knew the history and whatnot. I didn't do like complete research though, so I'm not a Metroid expert. But yeah, holy shit. Okay, so, today, before I recorded this, a Nintendo ad played on my TV, and in it was the Emmy sound effect for when they kill you. And I shit you not, I was looking at my dog when I heard this, and I jumped out of my bed, or I looked away from my dog and looked at the TV. I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And I was like, I had a stroke of PTSD because I was looking at my dog while laying down on my bed, and I just sat up and I was like, what the fuck? And that is good. Metroid Dread is very good at naming itself because, yeah, I felt a lot of dread. And I've seen people criticize the game for saying that, there are times where it feels more like trial and error. And I mean, I can sort of get that. Not really. Here's the thing. The game clearly tells you each gimmick of the Emmy, and it's kind of your fault if you don't, follow it. Because each Emmy has a different color, and with that color, they have, a different gimmick. The first one's broken up, so it's like a tutorial on the Emmys, and also it also means that like when you're like doing like the Omega Cannon shit, you only need to do the last part of it. You don't need to do the first part. The second part introduces the first part of the Omega Cannon, and also, yeah, just has them, and also introduces them climbing on walls. The green one introduces their ability to do the morph ball, and that's the only thing the green one can do. But also, you have to test out the Phantom Cloak ability and whatnot. And then the yellow one is when they start getting into gimmicks. So the yellow one's super fast, which you got to be careful of. You got to be especially careful of. And it also has like all the abilities of the previous ones. However, the blue one is the next one you face, and instead of so yeah, instead of being super fast as well as everything else, instead of being super fast, they can freeze you. And that one's pretty annoying, but they also hint to it pretty well with its opening cutscene, because each enemy gets an opening cutscene and it shows you their gimmick. And then even when you find a purple one, the game sort of acts like you're done with the Emmys, but you're actually not. And the game sort of hints that it can see behind walls, but obviously you have to figure it out for yourself. And it's like the only Emmy in the game, like where before you meet it and actually have to confront it, the game tells you how or what its gimmick is. And I think that's really helpful, because like that Emmy can shoot electrical projectiles and can also see through walls, and it's pretty annoying. And then the orange Emmy you don't face, but you see in a cutscene, and that is the super bomb. And I think all of them are done pretty well, because I mean I even got dread when I saw the orange one, even though I knew it was a cutscene. And I just had a lot of fun. Like, I had a lot of fun doing these sections. Because, I mean, you had to figure out what the best route was and how do I get there. And it's going to be even more fun when I speedrun it. Because, like, you can use the parry to your advantage in speedrunning. And that's going to be really fun taking advantage of that. I'm excited. But, yeah, no, the Emmy sections are really good at making me feel dread. And I feel like they're a definite high selling point of the game. And if you're a fan of stealth, you'll love this, because especially when you get to the yellow Emmy, the stealth is like, you fully get to take advantage of stealth. There's little corners you get to hide in the morph ball, and then you can do the morph ball with the Phantom Cloak ability, and it's really, really cool to do that, and I really like doing that. I just like a lot of stuff about this game, to be honest. I've been talking about it for 30 minutes, and I haven't talked about Xenoblade 2 yet. That should tell you how much I love this. Like, I gotta actually, like, go to bed soon, but I don't want to. I just love the game this much. So, yeah. To get on another 2 points, let's get on 2 smaller points. Tutorials. Tutorials are well. I mean, there should be more, but I'm not really looking for tutorials in Metroidvania, but I'm glad they're there. So I'd say about 8 out of 10. When it comes to the Emmy zones, I say about 9 out of 10, pretty much. I kind of wish there were more of them, but I get it. And then when it comes to the soundtrack, the most important thing about a video game is the soundtrack. It's probably the weakest point of the game. 4 out of 10, definitely. A lot of the tracks just don't hit that much, and I can barely remember a lot of them. It sucks too, because like I'm playing Zero Mission right now, and like the soundtrack's so much better. But hey, it's not the worst thing in the world, and honestly, I might actually bump that 4 up to a 5. It's not the worst thing. So now we move on to Xenoblade 2. So let's just get the obvious out of the way. Gameplay. Same as Metroid, it's a 10 out of 10. Once you understand it, at least. But that's not really a critique about gameplay, that's a critique about tutorials, which I'll get to later. Gameplay, it's fucking amazing. Especially when you understand it. It's a JRPG where you explore the world, you do your own, do side quests, have a really good story, and, yeah, you play as Rex. A really good kid who's salvaging for money that he can send home to his caretaker and all her children. Rex had a hard life, and he's just making the best of it. And I fucking relate to this kid so fucking much. I fucking love him. But during one mission, he gets called on by this organization called Torna, and I'm discussing the story. What the fuck? Oh my god. Okay, so, sorry. So, yeah, but you get to play as Rex, but then you also get to play as 5 other characters, or 4 other characters. Yeah, actually 5. You, play as this girl named Nia. You play as this guy named Tora. Or you play as this furry creature called a Nopon called Tora. You play as this guy named Zeke. Another guy named Vandam, for like 1 chapter. And, Morag. And they're really fun. But you also get a partner in battle, which is called a Blade. And a blade is not actually like a sword kind of. They come with a sword, but they're not really like the sword itself. And so for example, you and your blade have to work in unison during battle, and you also have to work with your teammates in battle a lot. So it's hard to explain, but I think I can't really do it justice myself without a script. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link you to a channel called Chugga Conroy. Because Chugga Conroy is currently doing a Let's Play on Xenoblade Chronicles 2. He's actually getting close to the end of it, actually. But in there he discusses a lot about the game. He has stuff I disagree with, but he's a really good source on getting into the game. And, yeah, but to discuss some of the basics, again, there's, the combat system's really fun once you understand it. It's just hard to explain, and I don't want to be here for any longer than I am. I'm not good at selling this game. I get too excited too easily. One of the more controversial features about the game is the gacha system. The gacha system's fine. I don't have any problem with it. Because there are these things called field skills, and some of them are, like, 4 or 5 of them are mandatory. But at least when it comes to the mandatory ones, in early game, you don't need to do the gacha to, progress for these ones. To progress for the mandatory, for these, field skills. Or there's, like, another way to do it. But, like, there's, like, 2 of them near the end of the game where you do need, like, field skills. And that can definitely be a pain, but it isn't the worst thing in the world. Especially since the field skills you need at the end of the game aren't like super rare ones, they're just basic ones that you can get like super easily. So I don't have any problem with it. And then, I guess the side quests can be a little repetitive, but I mean, they're not that bad. It honestly depends on what you're looking for in a side quest. I think the blade quests are definitely better, though. But, that's a whole other story. So in terms of gameplay, I give it about an 8 out of 10. Metroid Dread definitely is better in terms of gameplay. But Xenoblade 2, I am not grading on just gameplay alone. And that's the big difference here. Like I said, we're dealing with 2 separate genres here, and I gotta treat them differently. So let's get into characters of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. We have our main character, Rex, the main heroine, Pyra/Mithra, and the other main heroine, Nia. We have characters such as Tora, Poppy, Dromark, Vandam, Rock, Zeke, Pandoria, Morag, and Brigid. And I love almost every single one of these fucking characters. Even characters that don't get as much screen time I fucking love. Because the screen time they do get is really fun. When I first played the game, my favorite character for most of the game was probably Zeke, and because he's just a fun character. He's like a mixture of Bart from Xenogears and Majima from Yakuza, and also Team Rocket, but that's like during his early cutscenes, and really only during his early cutscenes. His character is this. He's the prince of this area called Tantal, but he doesn't really want to be the prince, and so he goes on his own journey of self-discovery, kind of. It's he kind of leaves the kingdom because he doesn't really want to be there forever, and then he pretty much gets exiled, I think, and then he goes to live with this guy named Amalthus, and then he learns stuff with Amalthus. He kind of looks at Amalthus kind of like a father, I think, and yeah. And then when you're introduced to him, he's actually doing a mission for Amalthus to pretty much scout you out and like figure out like who you are, or like figure out if you're like and like sort of see like what kind of person you are, I guess. And then you get to learn a bit more about him, and he's really fun. Um, and like Pandoria is his blade partner, and what happened with her is that like Zeke was injured, and Pandoria needed to heal Zeke, and so she pretty much gave part of her core crystal to Zeke, and now Zeke is like sort of half blade. And to be honest, it's actually like Rex and Pyramithra are actually like the same, and it's really cool because like in a way Zeke kind of feels like a big brother to Rex, but um to be honest, no, not really like a big brother. I guess more like a dad, like just like a role model basically. Zeke was honestly really fun and had some of the funniest moments in the game. And then, like, when you get to play as him in your party, he's like Ryan 2.0. You'll understand if you played Xenoblade 1. But Rex, shortly became my favorite. Rex and Poppy shortly overcame Zeke for me. And this is because of a scene in Chapter 7, but we'll get to that later. I think, like, chapters, like, okay, so I'm gonna be straight up honest. This is the first game to make me cry, and I'm just thinking of the scene, and I'm already kind of tearing up. I fucking love these characters, and like I said, I never really cry at fictional media. I've only cried at a few. This wasn't the first, but I mean, this is the first video game to make me cry. The first video is Gravity Falls. Maybe I'll do like a scene comparison, maybe, I don't know. I'll think about it. Shit. God damn, do I talk about it now? Okay, but yeah, no. TLDR, I love the fucking characters so much. The characters are an instant 10 out of 10. Even the gacha blades, the rare gacha blades that have character, they're really fun. Even the ones that have terrible quests, there's only like one I dislike, which to be honest, for a game that has like probably close to over 50 characters, I'm glad there's like one or two I dislike. Holy shit. Oh god. Okay, let's talk about story. Uh, Characters are a 10 out of 10. But story, it's fucking amazing. It's really fucking amazing. Um, there's like one major problem with it, and it's like chapter 2 and 4 are written like by like a different team, and like it's easy to tell because like they have some of the worst scenes in the game. but I don't really care about it. Like, I mean, it's a really bad for prologue sakes, but I mean, chapter 1 and 3 carry it easily. Well, I'm just gonna get to chapter 7. Let's just talk about chapter fucking 7. Usually it's chapter 10 that makes people cry. It's chapter 10 and 7 and also the finale of Torna that make people cry. But for me, it's the opening scene of chapter 7. I fucking love that scene. And so, like, for context, Pyramithra was just kidnapped by Torna, the evil organization of the game. And, just, Rex is distraught because of what Jin said to him, that he only cared about himself, and, man, that fucking hurt, man. Because, I mean, I think Jin was actually right, and I don't think that's a attack against Rex. I think Rex was just naive, and honestly, I don't think I don't think Rex is in it. I don't think Rex is like a bad person or anything. I think he's just a kid. Like I think he's young, and like I think he just was just trying to like help people, and like he didn't realize that helping people and like I guess like helping people in a way is selfish. Because I mean, what if they aren't asking for help? You know? And it's really like, but like he's so distraught. But like everyone's trying to encourage him to come with them to save Pyramithra, and it's like, but Rex is like doesn't want to anymore. And then Poppy fucking comes in and like almost fucking kills Rex. Cause like fucking like Bridget fucking comes in, Bridget and Nia come in, fucking like smack Rex, and then fucking like Poppy comes in, almost fucking kills him. I know, like everyone's like, "Oh, stop it, Poppy!" And like everyone's like, "Well, not really," but they're like, "Poppy!" And like, but like Poppy almost breaks down, and then like as the game progresses, Poppy goes from like less human to more human, and it's fucking amazing. I fucking love Poppy. But the reason why I like Rex more is because throughout the entire chapter he develops more and more. He shows appreciation for his friends, and he fucking he fucking he's fucking like that last scene, Tomorrow with You. It has probably one of the weakest scenes. Like it is probably like one of the weaker voice acting scenes. But my god, it's fucking good. It's and then the game just fucking continues from there. Fucking continues with like parallels to chapter fucking 2. It fucking like when there's parallels to chapter 2. There's and then like I just fucking hell, it's fucking amazing. I can't give it justice. I'm already breaking down in tears, but I'm gonna break out in tears. But I mean, like, goddamn, it's fucking amazing. And then like the finale happens, and I mean, holy shit. I mean, like, goddamn. I I can see why people cry at that scene. I've never cried at that scene because I've already cried before at chapter 7. But I mean, like, I almost fucking did. Like, I almost fucking did. Like, that game almost, like, that scene almost fucking broke me. Cause, like, Panuma, or the combined form of Pyramithra, who is Panuma, fucking, like, fucking sacrifices herself and decides that she's gonna die to save, Rex and team. And, like, only one person can save them, and it's fucking Poppy. And like, but Poppy made a promise to Rex, and Rex is fucking breaking down at Poppy's fucking, and fucking breaking down at Poppy. And oh my god, it fucking hurt. Like it fucking hurt for both these characters. Like, my god. And then the finale. I think a lot of people fucking have problems with the finale because Pyramithra come back because of the core crystal they gave to Rex. But I I feel like it only made sense because they aren't technically the Aegis anymore. Because the Aegis was Pneuma, but Pneuma's dead. Part of Pyramithra is still dead. And what I'm really hoping for is that I wished, for the love of God, that if we do get a sequel to this game, I really fucking wish that Pyramithra, like, at least have their memories erased. Because I don't want their memories to come back. I really fucking don't. Just fucking... Holy shit. I fucking love these characters. I honestly can't even continue talking about this. I think this already cemented the answer in my head, but I want to keep talking to be fair. Because I had like 4 more points. Because I talked about 4 more things with Metroid Dread than I did with Xenoblade 2, but oh my god, I gotta talk about this shit. Oh my god. I can't fucking... Story's like 9 out of 10. It's really fucking good. It just has, like, one big flaw, and it's like, that big flaw, like, it's big, but the story more than makes up for it. Especially near the end. Like, it becomes peak fiction, like, once you're at chapter 5, the game's peak fiction for the rest of the game. Like, it's no longer just peak fiction in chapters 1 and 5, and 1 and 3. It's fucking amazing. And, I fucking love it. Let's talk about voice acting, I guess, real quick. Voice acting. It's a bit wonky. Rex's English VA is not the best for this role. There was some bad voice direction and whatnot. Well, it's not that he wasn't bad. He wasn't bad for the role. It's more so like his voice direction was, his voice direction wasn't that good, and needed more work. But other than that, it's like he's fine. He's fine the way it is. Yeah. What can I say? Obviously some voice acting near the beginning needs some work, but other than that, I think the voice acting is really fucking good for when it gets good. Boss battles. Boss battles. Um, Boss battles are also pretty good. They take good advantage of the player's skill. It's hard to judge boss battles in a RPG because they're a lot more of a test of skill with regular gameplay than like a platformer or a Metroidvania. But I fucking love this shit. I mean, like, yeah, this game is like really good bosses. Or like Xenoblade 2 has some pretty good bosses. I give it about an 8 out of 10. We're blazing through these now. What's the unique thing to Xenoblade 2? I guess if we had to get something unique to Xenoblade 2, it probably would be, I mean, I already, yeah, but fuck. Side quest, I guess? No. Let's talk about its DLC. Its DLC is actually surprisingly really good. I really like the DLC they gave for this game. It's just the right amount of fan service to the point that it doesn't feel like it was meant for base game, but it also doesn't feel like it was like always meant to be DLC. It always felt like it was an extra. Just an extra that was fun. And challenge was great. I think the only thing in there that, like, feels off is, I think the only thing that feels off in fucking, in everything, or the only thing that feels off in the whole fucking, shit, I can't speak, I'm thinking about Chapter 7 now. Oh my god. But yeah, the one thing that feels off about, DLC is some of the difficulty options being behind it. It's not that big of a deal breaker. I'm not upset about it. Just kind of wish they were there. But hey, it's not that bad. It really isn't that bad. To add, then we have tutorials. Tutorials are actually really, really bad, and it's the weakest point of this game. If the weakest point of Metroid Dread was the soundtrack, the tutorials are the worst part about this game. Luckily, this game, there's like countless YouTube videos. Just fucking go to Chugga again. He'll help you with the bad tutorials, as well as, like, he'll give better explanations for gameplay than I could. So since I'm fucking breaking down now, I'm not gonna, I'm even gonna do an even worse explanation. My god. Yeah, just fucking the tutorials aren't the best. That's all that needs to be said. I'd give it about probably a 2 out of 10 in terms of the tutorials. Some tutorials can be pretty good, but some just not. Some tutorial dialogues are too focused on making jokes when they don't need to be there. And also, it's just a complete downgrade from the first game. Which, I don't want to bring the first game into this, but I feel like when it comes to tutorials, that needs to be fucking said. That's the only thing I'm bringing in from Xenoblade 1, though. That's it. Music, fucking phenomenal. I don't need to say much more. It's phenomenal. Whether it's Letheria's theme, or fucking Tantal's theme. Still Move Forward's fucking awesome. You Will Recall Our Names is awesome. Everything's awesome about it. I fucking love it. That's pretty much it. That's both games equally ranked. Soundtrack's like a 10 out of 10 for Xenoblade 2, by the way. If I had to fucking decide which game is better, I think making this video has made it clear which one I like better. I think, if I were to do this objectively, Metroid Dread is definitely the better game, but I played games that I think are objectively better than fucking... I played Mario Odyssey, I played Breath of the Wild, and honestly, if I were going objectively about it, those games, gameplay-wise, would be better than Xenoblade 2, probably would be. Especially in terms of tutorials and whatnot. But, here's the thing. I'm not going by objective opinion when it comes to this shit. This is entirely subjective. As much as I hate... Well, a lot of the shit I'm saying might be objective, but I'm staying subjective when it comes to my opinion. I'm extremely fucking biased, and, it's all about how much fun I had. And to be honest, I had way more fun. I think I had way more fun with Xenoblade 2. Or I had a much better time with Xenoblade... I think I had a better time with Xenoblade 2 than I did with Metroid Dread. I'm so fucking emotional, holy shit. I fucking love both these games. I think Xenoblade 1, Metroid Dread, and Xenoblade 2 are all equally as good to me. And I fucking love all of them. But I still think I like Xenoblade 2 more than Metroid Dread. It's that Chapter 7 scene, man. It's the combination of scenes that I mentioned. They're all so good. They're all so good. If you like this video, leave a like, subscribe, turn on the bell notification, leave a comment, and also consider giving feedback and also sharing the video. It's up to you. I need to fucking go cry my eyes out. I'll see you guys later. Bye.